And we're going to talk about the affordable Indian Ocean. And I'm not just going to talk about the Maldives. I'm really going to talk about two destinations, Seychelles and the Maldives. What would be really helpful from my perspective is if you've got questions as we go along, please feel free to ask them. I think when we were talking to Yvonne, we were just talking about kind of the experience of the last few months, and probably the experience of the last 2 months really, where people have been saying to us, well, constantly, what's the overview of the current travel status? Where can we send clients to? What's good value for money? And I thought, well, actually, that would be a really quite a good thing to talk to you about today, because what we've seen is a demand for people to travel, and I'm sure you have done, a nervousness about traveling at the current time, because clearly there aren't that many places that you can travel to with confidence at the moment. But also, how do we sell a holiday, in our case, focusing on the Indian Ocean, for the next few months with a view to trying to get people to travel this winter, and then looking forward to next summer, trying to get some bookings, onto the books. The first thing I thought it would be quite helpful to have a quick look at is what is the status of the current destinations that we're talking about in the Indian Ocean, between the Seychelles, Maldives, Mauritius, and Sri Lanka. I think everybody knows by now, Seychelles is the only one of those 4 destinations that we can truly say has opened up to the market. It's got the support of the FCDO in the sense that there's no restrictions. You're not traveling against Foreign Office advice, and there's no self-isolation on return. The big challenge with the Seychelles is PCR testing within 48 hours of flying. And I don't think we should underestimate the difference between the 48-hour rule and the 72-hour rule that other locations are operating. Getting a test done within 48 hours can be a real challenge, especially if you haven't got access close by. If you're in central London, there's plenty of places you can go to. But equally as well, quite a few of the places are charging a premium for a 48-hour test over a 72-hour test. But assuming that you can get over that, clients can fly to the Seychelles. They must stay in an approved hotel, but actually most of the hotels that we sell are approved hotels anyway. There is some 70 odd hotels that are open to UK arrivals to stay in at the moment. And they have to stay there for 5 days. On the 4th night, there's a PCR test. And on the 5th day after that, assuming they've had a negative test, they're free to continue their holiday uninterrupted. And during that first 5 days, they're allowed to stay within the hotel, to move around, to use the beach. Some hotels are restricting some water sports, some use of gyms. Some of the bigger hotels are having kind of dedicated dining areas for people. But in broad terms, for somebody who wants to go on holiday at the moment, that is a good option. The Maldives is the second option, is the other one that we've been promoting. And we have been doing some good bookings for February, for March. We've also got some inquiries for the current time, because the FCDO advice is still against non-essential travel. I'll come on and just show you something else in a minute, but at Travel Gala, we are prepared to carry people. If you've got clients who are really determined to go, we think there is a way that they can be traveling at the current time to the Maldives. Mauritius, frankly, we're not selling at the moment. The PCR test is there, but there's still 14 days quarantine on arrival. Watch this space. There is a general feeling that it will open by Christmas, and it may well provide a good last-minute opportunity for sending your clients to at Christmas. And finally, Sri Lanka, and it saddens me to say this, it's in red on the right-hand side there. At the moment, they're only allowing the repatriation of nationals, and we think it'll open in the first quarter of 2021. There's likely to be testing on arrival and probably testing after 5 days. There was a suggestion that could be testing after 10 days as well. Until it opens, we won't really know. We think the opportunities for touring in the first quarter will be more restricted, but for some beach stays may be very good. Strangely enough, at the moment, there are no FCDO restrictions. It's not traveling against travel at FCO advice, but there is self-isolation on return. So that's just a little summary of where we sit. Mauritius. We're not currently promoting Mauritius. I think it'll be very competitive when it comes back on sale, because actually of the Indian Ocean islands, Mauritius is going to be the one that probably opens up, excluding Sri Lanka, but opens up last. And I think they're going to be very keen to get people back in and to try and fill the hotels over the Christmas period. So when that comes out, we will communicate some offers and we'll see how we can sell those. Let's just have a quick look at the Seychelles. Currently, the Seychelles is the hot location for Christmas. There are plenty of airline opportunities for traveling into the Seychelles. Emirates, Etihad and British Airways will be also flying there twice a week. 10-hour direct flight. And at the current time, we're suggesting on two grounds, both on the grounds of affordability, but also on the grounds of simplicity, that people try and stay to one island. Traditionally with the Seychelles, people have often combined doing something like Dennis Private Island with something on Mahe, two centering to get both the experience of two different locations, but some variety within a 10 to 2 week 10 day to 2 week holiday. But I think at the current time, it's a better option probably to stay on Mahe. Also, there's been a change this week, as I'm sure you may be aware. Emirates now are not requiring a COVID test prior to flying, because if you're transiting through Dubai, they've removed that requirement from Dubai. Etihad, as of yesterday, still did require that. And that means that in addition to getting the PCR test that you need to fly out to the Maldives, to the Seychelles, your clients have also got to get the same PCR test prior to returning, because it's required by the airline. British Airways obviously does not have that requirement, which is good. But one of the things to remember with British Airways is the departure is quite early, something like 9:30 in the morning. And therefore, you really need to be staying relatively locally the night before. So again, if you're looking at one of those options for flying into and then going on to one of the other islands, it may just restrict it slightly. So what I wanted to do is just a couple of things. I wanted to give you an illustration of a couple of hotels that we think are really affordable and you might not have thought of before in the Seychelles. The weather in the Seychelles we're often asked, when is the best time? And in some ways, it is not easy to say when there is a best time. Temperatures don't vary massively. Clearly, it's drier and cooler May to September, but October through March, warm tropical weather, you've got calm seas, short-lived tropical showers. Frankly, you are going to get rain, but it is still a good location to be sending to people to over this period of time. The first hotel I wanted to look at, I'm going to just feature on two hotels in the Seychelles for affordability. The first is Kirana Beach. You may or may not have heard of this property. It's a relatively new property. It's actually owned by Masons, who are also our ground handler out in the Seychelles. And this is a 40 chalet boutique hotel, solidly 4-star, contemporary, definitely suitable for the profile of clients, somebody who's looking for a slightly smarter, chic location, but not looking for uber luxury. That's not the best slide, but this is a contemporary hotel. The design of the rooms is contemporary. And frankly, when I saw this, whilst that's not the most picturesque site as you look back to the hotel, when you see the beach that it's located on and the privacy that this location gives and the quality of the accommodation for a 4-star property, I think this is a really, really good option. So if you've got honeymooners, somebody looking to put a honeymoon into place for the next over the next 9 months, if you've got younger families, this is a good option. They'll take 2 extra kids in the beach pavilions, under the age of 12. They also have some interconnecting options. but there isn't a huge amount to do at the property here, and might not be the best place with teenage kids unless you've got ones who just want to lay by the pool and do absolutely nothing. But certainly Kirana Beach, in our opinion, is a great opportunity, boutique 4-star hotel. The other property I just wanted to mention in the Maldives, in the Seychelles, sorry, I keep saying Maldives, in the Seychelles, is Hilton Le Brise Resort and Spa. Again, don't necessarily always think about running off to a Hilton, but the nice thing about this property is it's situated on Silhouette Island, which is about a 45-minute fast ferry ride from the main island, from Mahe. 111 villas, 7 restaurants, and this is again in the good quality 4-star. It is not a 5-star property, but it offers very, very good value for money and very, very good value for money for families. The resort is set in a very lush location. It's well established, and it really is a full resort offering. The rooms are large, the suites are very large, and again, they'll take 2 extra kids in these rooms. So, if you're looking for affordability, and let's face it, the Seychelles is never the most affordable location in the world, then I think the Hilton Le Brise is a good option. It also has quite a lot of sophisticated offerings. I mentioned before, it's got 7 restaurants. It's got a very large pool area, and it's got some good other facilities. I mean, all these hotels obviously offer spa as a foregone conclusion. But I do think the Hilton is a good option, and one which has availability over Christmas and the New Year. So that's the Seychelles. I don't know whether anyone has any questions on the Seychelles. Please just pipe up if you do. One of the things that we are also kind of keen to stress, and this is whether it be the Seychelles or the Maldives, the moment you start taking onward flights, you start to pump the cost up. So both in the Seychelles and the Maldives, if possible, we're suggesting keeping to speedboats, to ferries, or in the case of the Seychelles, staying on Mahe where you arrive. There's plenty of 5-star hotels as well. Big hotels like the Savoy offer very good value for money in Mahe. And obviously some of those that you may be familiar with, like the Constance Ophelia, still has availability in their villas for Christmas, but they're expensive. I recently priced a holiday for the 2-bedroom villa, and the accommodation alone for approximately just under 12 nights at Christmas was coming out at just under £20,000 for the Constance Ophelia. So at that end of the market, it is still quite pricey, but there is availability. Affordable Maldives. And the first thing is on flights. How do you keep the Maldives more affordable? I mean, the first thing is, if you can, convince your clients not to take the British Airways flight. At the current time, if the budget stretches to it, I think the British Airways flight is an excellent option. The reason being, there's no requirement for COVID testing for actually going on the flight. Although, of course, there is a requirement for having a PCR test before you go to the Maldives, 72 hours before. But it also takes out the complexity and the stress potentially of transiting through the Middle East and changing planes in the Middle East. So, on the other hand, the Middle Eastern airlines are working out significantly cheaper for much of the year versus the British Airways direct flight. The second thing is a speedboat. There is a huge variety of choice of properties with a speedboat transfer. And I focused mostly, I'm going to take you through 5 of our kind of suggested properties that you look at for value for money in the Maldives. And I think 4 of those are based on a speedboat. Having said that, many seaplanes are currently discounted. And some of the affordable 5-star properties, 4-star plus and 5-star properties, are looking to be ultra competitive at the moment. And one of the things they're doing is offering half-price seaplane transfers. So suddenly what could have easily been £500 for the round-trip speedboat transfer, seaplane transfer comes down considerably. The other thing about affordability is traditionally, and this is something we've been doing extensively and increasingly up until this year, is combining with Sri Lanka. So when Sri Lanka does open, I would certainly encourage you to look at that for combining with the Maldives. We've been doing probably about 40% of the holidays that we do to Sri Lanka, including a Maldives extension. It depends on where the client's emphasis wants to be and whether it's a 10-night tour of Sri Lanka followed by 5 nights on the beach from the Maldives, or it can be as simple as 3 or 4 nights in Sri Lanka just to give a little bit of an experience, and then on to the Maldives for 10 nights. So I'm going to focus now on the 4-star and the entry level 5-star market. Our experience in this market until about 3 years ago was limited. I think we'd all stayed historically at some of the better properties, the more expensive properties. But Fazana and I did an inspection trip focusing specifically on 3-star plus and 4-star properties. And between us in the team in the office now in London, I think we've seen something like 27 Maldivian properties. And probably, certainly 10 to 12 of those are in the 4-star market. So before going on to that, just one quick thing is we've had some clients looking to travel to the Maldives now. So even though the FCO advice is in place, even though the self-isolation is in place, and I don't expect you to read that, but we do have a way of carrying clients to the Maldives at the current time, providing they're fully informed about the situation that they're facing, providing they go and get specialist travel insurance from somebody like Campbell Irvine, and we can give you further information on that, and providing they're aware of the pitfalls and the shortfalls in any insurance cover that they've got. But for that client who is really determined to travel at the moment, for whatever reason, there is a way to carry them. And that's something that we've looked at very carefully, and I'm very happy to share those conditions in more details with you. As we just touch on the Maldives and weather, let's just start on that. We're often asked, and again, as we're trying to think of locations to sell for next summer, everybody knows that the Maldives is perfect for weather from December through to March. Back end of December can be a few showers, but January, February, March, the perfect time. May and June, generally, we would see as being wet months, and the other period is September through to November. Very difficult to say whether it's the middle of November and the middle of September, but October is definitely one of the wet months. But the intermonsoonal period between July and August, in our experience, is a very good time to also be considering the Maldives. Very good value for money. You will probably get some rain, but you'll get extended sunny periods and the occasional heavy shower. Many of my trips, certainly as a family trips to the Maldives, have been in July and August. We've had some very good experience. I think only in 1 year did we have a very poor experience. So let's look at 5 properties that I'd now like to suggest. The Cinnamon Donavelli Maldives, and some of you may have heard me say this if I've been talking to you about it as some inquiries for your clients. This is what I would call our entry-level 4-star all-inclusive property. There are some 3-star properties. I'm not going to touch on those today, but the Cinnamon Donavelli is one of the larger properties, 152 rooms, located in the North Mali Atoll, 25 minutes by speedboat, and it offers exceptionally good value. But, and there is a big but with this, it has a mass market feel. It gets a huge number of repeat guests, and we've done bookings for travel agents, for ATO agents, for this coming winter, for March, who are repeaters going back into the resort after several occasions. But I think it's important to actually see the difference in the quality of the accommodation. It is also worth noting that it's famous for surfing. It's one of the best surfing points in the Maldives. Has a surf break called Pasta Point, but it's very important to note that the surfing's outsourced to a third party. It has to be booked as a package with the surf school, and it makes it about 50% more expensive than going on a normal holiday there. The property in many ways has a very, very nice 4-star feel. but the basic accommodation is, in my opinion, 3-star plus. The overwater villas are a solid 4-star property. The dining outlets, though, and the public areas are a entry-level 4-star. And I think it's really important to just reflect that the property is of an good quality, but for somebody who is looking for something more boutiquey, something smaller, perhaps a little more exclusive, I don't think this is the right property for everybody. For somebody who's looking for very good value for money, some very good offers, then this is certainly one to consider. The next property I'd like to look at is San Siam Olivelli. And many of you may say, oh goodness, we've been selling San Siam Olivelli for years. It was one of the original kind of 4-star properties in the country. And we've certainly been sending people there for 10 years. It's had a significant amount of money spent on the property, and it's also been extensively extended. And today, San Siam Olivelli is an affordable luxury resort. 4-star market, 298 keys. So it's huge. And as Maldivian island goes, it's just about as big as they get. It's 45 minutes by speedboat, has a wide variety of dining options. The interesting thing is it's sold on a full board basis. Like many Maldivian hotels, they go between all-inclusive, full board, half board. The advantage of this is that if you've got clients who are not big drinkers, then the full board option is definitely worthwhile. But at the same time, the upgrade to all-inclusive is about £40 per person, £45 per person per day. So it's actually quite reasonable. It's got a vast lagoon. And as I mentioned before, it's had extensive refurbishment, including the development of the second island and the water villas at the second island, which are all new product. So this is a large property, and I think that image gives you a good overview of how you've got the two islands together. The entry-level properties are in these 2-story beach units. And this is probably what you'll remember for those of you who've sold Olivelli 10, 12 years ago. I remember sending some friends to stay in one of these, the 2 units upstairs, the 2 units downstairs. But they've all undergone, from the lowest category upwards, different levels of refurbishment. So as you can see here, the beach villas are smart. They've undergone a smart refurbishment. The interiors have had a smart, good quality 4-star touch put to them. Light colours, new furniture. And I actually think as an entry-level property today, one of the best value for money beach villas you can get is this. This is their beach. They have a strange name. I think it's a beach ocean suite, which is actually slightly bigger than the villa. So this is the suite. If you turn around and look to the left, and I don't think I put that chart in, that slide in, you look straight out onto the beach. These are big. They're 110 square meters, and they will take a family of 2 + 2. You can see the sliding doors in that image there. It means you can have a separate sleeping area for children. For a family looking for good, affordable value for money, very, very good option. And I did a quote for a family of 5 for 12 nights here, all inclusive, including flights for 1 adult and 3 children. One of the adults was flying separately. And it came at about £15,000 for Christmas. That was checking in around the 15th or 16th of December for 12 nights. They've also got these brand new ocean villas, which again, at this entry level of the market, are good value for money. So that's Cinnamon Olivelli. That's Olivelli, San Siam Olivelli. Kids Club, full range of facilities as you would expect. Right, the next property I want to look at is 2 of the atmosphere properties. We're often asked, and people say, oh, we don't want something as big as a 300 key property. I fully understand that. And it equals, well, we want something slightly better quality than something like the Cinnamon Olivelli. Because I do think the Cinnamon Olivelli, particularly their dining options, feel very solidly mass market. The entry-level Oblu property, Helengeli, is an outstandingly good value for money, 4-star all-inclusive property. 125 keys, 50 minutes by speedboat from the airport. So you can swim to the house reef. It has a separate adult pool. And this property in particular has, I think, one of the best value water villas in the Maldives. So many people want a water villa, particularly for honeymoons, but they can't afford it. And so you end up getting into that whole discussion, and then should they split their time? Well, this property here, Hengeli, I think is very good. The Oblu brand has gone for a very fresh, funky look, and you see that through most of their properties. But I think this is a very nice feel. It doesn't, because of the size of the property, have the mass feel of when you've got exceptionally large restaurants. The decor is nice, and it has a good sharp feeling to the experience. But this is the entry-level beach villa. Small, they're not huge, but they're private, and the quality of the finish is very, very sharp. And I think for the younger market and for people who are looking for good value for money, it's a very, very good option. This is the entry-level water villa. It comes complete with a pool. It's an oversized plunge pool. It's not a jacuzzi. So the downside of this, though, is these units are accessed from the beach, not by going onto a long walkway. For someone who's looking for that experience of walking half a mile out to sea to then get to their pool villa, they're not going to get it. But in terms of value for money, on a 5-night stay in September, you are looking at about £100 a night more to stay in this pool villa versus the beach villa that we looked at a moment ago. And the step up at any other property of this equivalent quality is significant in price. So that's Hengeli. They've also got these very nice pool villas in the grounds. So great value. Our direct contractual relationship with the hotel stuns me with some of the pricing that we've got back on this property. And this is one to definitely have in the back of your mind for clients, particularly for honeymooners. Their sister property is Oblu Sangeli. Sangeli is officially a 5-star resort with 137 keys. And sorry, by the way, just going back, if I can just go back to this property, and which was Hengeli and the water villa, I did a 10-night flight, a 10-night holiday, flying on British Airways in World Traveller for £8,050 for a couple for, I can't remember, that was February or March, but it just gives you an idea of the competitiveness of the property. So, go the right direction. Sangeli, entry-level 5-star resort, slightly bigger, 137 keys, by speedboat still, but it also has the advantage of a second adult-only island, apart from when people go to the specialised dining resorts, which kids are allowed to go to in the evenings. The island that's closest to us, and with the jetty coming off towards us, those are the honeymoon water villas, which are exceptionally nice, but are of a higher price, matching the quality. This is, again, a chic resort. I like the feel of it. The properties have been designed differently. Those are some of the water villas. That's the honeymoon water villa. So you can see really quite stunning setup. But also their entry-level beach villas. At this property, at Sangeli, they have this very, very nice beach pool villa. And you can see the look and the feel of the property is very fresh. In terms of a step up in cost, at the moment, Sangeli here has got some incredibly good value for money. And I think at the moment we've got offers of half price, free transfer, sorry, on the speedboats. And Sangeli will be more expensive than Hengeli. You know, the step up in cost is probably around £1,000 from that £8,000 price that I mentioned before. It would probably be about £1,000 step up, £1,200 step up to stay at Sangeli. Now let's look very quickly at Sun Siam Iruveli. Now, one of the absolute selling points of this particular property Very laid back and stylish, 125 keys, but every single suite has a private pool. And at the moment, Sun Siam Irivelli has got a 40% discount and half price seaplane transfers. So it's a 35-minute seaplane transfer. It has an all-inclusive dine around program and has an excellent reputation for food. So if you've got foodies who are looking for all-inclusive with the option of being able to mix and match where they're actually eating, this is definitely a good option. You can see from the style of the property, very, very similar to the other Olivelli, to the Olivelli, its sister property. But there's a little bit more space. And as I mentioned before, your private pool in every single room. It's a step up. It's just recently been classified as a 5-star property. I think better sold as a 4-star plus, and then people are not going to be overly disappointed. The other thing here, the family suite with pool has a separate bedroom and sitting area with those windows, the doors that draw to. It's a very good option, 2+2 for the kids. And if I remember correctly, I believe the kids stay free under the age of 12 at this property as well. The water villas, so really a very, very good option. So that's Sun Siam Irivelli, and we've got a 40% discount there at the moment. So Olivelli had a 30% discount, Sun Siam Irivelli's got a 40% discount. I have to say at this point, and I didn't think I'd say this, but a few weeks ago I actually said to an agent, the Maldives looks comparatively cheap. And I think if we're just comparing Seychelles and Maldives, there's absolutely no doubt that there is better value for money in the Maldives at the moment. Seychelles is down in price, but it generally starts from being sold on a bed and breakfast or half board basis. All inclusive in the Seychelles is really a concept that they haven't embraced at all, whereas all of these Maldivian properties have. The other difference to just also bear in mind as you look through these properties is the difference in the all-inclusive package. And if you're staying at somewhere like Oblu, for example, versus Cinnamon Donavelli, you will have a better choice of international alcohols included in the package, and you may have some dine-around options as well. And finally, affordable Sri Lanka. We do think Sri Lanka is going to offer outstanding value for money in the summer of 2021. And therefore, if you combine it with the Maldives, it's going to offer you, I would hazard a guess, but it's certainly 20% reduction in price from what you looked at 2 years ago. We're just launching 2 itineraries, which will be available to come out to agents later this week, which is Luxury for Less and On a Shoestring. These are itineraries that are both suitable in both categories for family and for honeymoon, whether it be for couples in the summer, couples in the winter, or families East Coast or South Coast, depending on whether it's a summer or winter itinerary. We've also got some in-depth tours of Sri Lanka for full-on escapes for the summer and also for next winter as well, for the winter of 2021. I just wanted to give you an idea of how competitive I think we'll be able to be. Some of you will be familiar with the Uga properties, and in that Luxury for Less itinerary, we've been offered an exclusive, I can't say exclusive, but we've been offered a very good discount, which I'm not aware who else has been offered it at the moment, which is 50% off the Ulagala property and 60% off the contract rates for the 2 East Coast properties of Jungle Beach and Uga Bay. So the itineraries that are coming out this week, you will see itineraries for families of 4 staying in these properties and staying at the Rosyth Estate House hours with flights included for the beginning of July at unbelievable prices, around £8,000 for a family of 4. So there's some incredibly good value that we can drive here. Now, if we were going to then combine that with the Maldives, we probably wouldn't put the East Coast in, but that's always something that we can take a look at. So what else did I just want to say in conclusion? All of our quotes are prepared electronically, and I think we all know about the quality of the printed matter that Orderly produce. There's no doubt about the quantity. And we don't produce booklets like they produce, but what we do produce, I think, is very, very professional, electronically produced quotes on Wetu, and we can always send a hard copy of that out to you if a client does want a hard copy. All our quotes are automatically dual branded with your brand as well as the Travel Gallery brand, and if you prefer, we can take the Travel Gallery brand off, but they're always dual branded. We follow that up with good quality documentation in due course. There's two other things that I'd just like to bring to talk about. Our COVID promise: plan ahead, book now, and travel with confidence. We're saying that if you book a holiday now, if for any reason you want to book it, and you don't even have to tell us what that reason is, up to 60 days we will take a cancellation. We will tell you at the time, a postponement, or if necessary, a cancellation. We will tell you at the time of making your booking whether there are any costs that we're incurring, which could impact on that. Should you need, though, for COVID-related purposes to cancel a booking, we're negotiating that on an individual basis. We've said 60 days there, but the reality is we were just looking at a holiday for Abu Dhabi where we're hoping to be able to take some people in February. The balance will be collected approximately 5 weeks before. Cancellation will be possible up to, for the hotel, 5 days before. And should FCO restrictions obviously get into place, then there is no argument about that. A full refund or reorganisation of a holiday will of course be offered. So that is something that we're very happy to talk to you about and send further details out about that.